Okay.
Hi, this is Jackie Grant, and I'm here with Scott Wolf for InsideSoCal.com/USC. So Scott, I was at the game this weekend with Whitney, and we were talking about the effort. There was so much effort seen from the SC players. Unfortunately, such a heartbreaking loss. What are the positives along with the negatives that can be taken away?
Well, the positives, they played a top 25 team on the road and took it to the last play, almost won. It would have been a big morale boost for the team, I think, if they'd won that game. The negative is they've lost 2 games in a row at the last second. Right now they're at a crossroads where the season can really collapse if they lose this week against Cal, so they got to win that game. Negatives, the defense was terrible. Positive, the offense was pretty good. So, there's a lot of swirling issues right now. Robert Woods, the wide receiver, is playing cornerback in practice right now, so there's talk of him going 2 ways. I don't know if it's Lane Kiffin lying, just trying to throw Cal off, or if he's serious about doing it, because he likes to try to throw out smoke screens to the opposing coaches during the week. Last week he said they were going to run the ball against Stanford a lot, and then they ended up passing a lot, and he kind of did that on purpose. So I think the theme this week, though, is the defense has to get a lot better. They can't play like they did against Stanford or Washington, or this could be a 6-6 type season for USC.
Yeah, clearly the defense is the weak link here. There's so many different factors playing in with all these injuries and the coaching techniques. What do you think we can do to improve?
I don't think there's one thing. I mean, players make the difference. I mean, no matter who the coach is, you got to have good players. I could coach, Ray Malaluga and Brian Cushing, and I'd be a good linebackers coach. There's a lot of heat on Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator. Some people are saying, is he too old? Some people are criticizing his Tampa 2 defense he runs. But, whether he's doing something wrong or whether it's hard for the players to learn his schemes, the fact is the players are not in position making plays or making simple tackles, too. And they're committing stupid penalties at key times. So these are all kind of things that come together when you're not a good team, all these types of errors. And, they're 4-2. The schedule's been pretty easy during the 4 wins, and it got tougher the last couple of weeks, although Washington's not really that good a team. So we're going to see now they're at home the next 2-3 weeks what's going to happen. If they're going to be a good team, they're going to have to win these games. If not, then we get a Paul Hackett era type season, he was the coach. You're probably a little young to remember Paul Hackett, especially being from the Bay Area. But he's from the Bay Area too, so you should like that.
Okay,
but he was the most recent horrible coach at USC, just so you know.
Okay, good to know. And regarding coaching, with all the heat Monte Kiffin's been given for the defense, what do you think the relationship's like between Lane Kiffin and Monte Kiffin? Well,
I don't think you're going to fire your father. I mean, that'd be kind of a low-life move, even for Lane Kiffin. So I just think, I think Lane Kiffin understands, hey, my dad's not got a lot of talent to work with, or they're not, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Monty Kiffin could have turned around and said, hey, your offense stunk in the Virginia game or whatever, but I don't think, he knows what his dad's done over, 30, 40 years. So, I think he's probably a little upset that the defense isn't playing better, but he assembled this high-profile defensive staff, so I think, after 6 games it would be a little harsh to say this is the problem, these guys are to blame for the deficiencies.
Mm-hmm. And with all the struggles SC's defense has been having this season, they seem to overshadow some of the special moments that the team has had, such as Barkley's had such an efficient season and Robert Woods' breakout role this past game. Do you think these players are going to get the national recognition that they deserve, or do they deserve this recognition?
Well, right now it's interesting. You don't see the USC players mentioned for a lot of the weekly awards given out nationally. And in the past, just because you were at USC, you always got mentioned, by these associations, whether it's the Heisman Trophy polls or the, Horning Award, which is for special teams or versatile players. And you're not seeing that right now. You don't get a lot of mentions. And I go through these things, and I don't see a lot of USC mentions. So it's kind of, I'm sure, frustrating that, when you don't win or you're on probation, your profile's a little lower. So it's going to be harder for some of these guys to get All-American or things like that if they have season's deserving of that.
Yeah. And Robert Woods' breakout game this season, this past game, with 224 yards. Is he going to be the new go-to guy, you think?
I think he's the best player, offensively, receiver on the team, but he may get double teamed the next game. So it'll be interesting. Teams were concentrating on Ronald Johnson, who's a senior, and he was getting double teamed, and they left Woods open. So now teams are going to have to defend honestly against USC.
Yeah.
So he might have less opportunities, but it might open up stuff for Ronald Johnson at the same time. So this game will be interesting to see how Cal decides to defend the receivers. But I think Woods is a special player. He's already had a kick return for a touchdown. So I think the next 3 years at least, he's really going to electrify the crowds at games.
And now shifting to the Cal game, Cal's coach, and I'm paraphrasing this, Jeff Tedford, said that SC was 5 seconds away from being a 6-0 team, so they are still a great team.
Right.
Do you agree with that statement, or was he just saying that to try to get in his players' heads?
Well, Lane Kiffin said that too, so they're on the same wavelength. But you could also say, there's another saying that says good teams win close games. Yeah. So, they could have won the Washington game. They should have won the Washington game. Stanford, could have gone either way. But they've lost 2 games now, so if they were a great team, they would have won those games. And SC teams in the past found ways to win those types of games. Of course, it helped when you had Reggie Bush or somebody like that. But, I think, they've had a couple games where they've played hard, just, had some deficiencies that are getting exposed by the opponents. And I'm just worried about the next, 4 or 5 games, what happens. They've got to keep playing hard and get a little better on defense to make sure there's not a meltdown that occurs.
Yeah. And what do you expect to see this weekend against Cal? Cal coming off a great win against UCLA and a pretty good defensive team from Cal. How can they play to win this game?
Well, I think USC is going to try to run the ball a little bit more than they did last week, but Cal's defense is excellent, so it's going to be kind of a clash, SC's offense, Cal's defense, and at the same time, USC's defense has to prove it can stop Shane Vereen, the tailback, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see if Kevin Riley, the quarterback, throws a little more, because USC secondary is ranked 116th in the nation.
Yeah.
So if Cal thinks they have a chance to exploit it, they will. Otherwise, though, they're just going to run, which they're very comfortable doing.
Well, thank you, Scott. This is Jackie Grant, and we all hope you're watching the game this weekend. So thanks for tuning in.